Dear students, our today's topic is to study the positive interactions. Just to understand here, I'll just try and tell you about the interspecific interactions. We have already studied it in our last lecture. Interspecific interactions are the interactions that exist between the individuals of different species, and there can be positive interactions as well as negative interactions. So today we are going to talk about the positive interactions. So what is a positive interaction? A positive interaction is an interaction where both the interacting population they help one another, what happens is one species is benefited and other remains unaffected. So positive interactions include mutualism, commensalism, and proto-cooperation. So we are going to discuss these three positive interactions separately here. First is mutualism. So mutualism is a positive interaction. So what is mutualism? Mutualism is defined as a relationship in which both the species are mutually benefited. Mutually benefited means both the species get benefit out of this interaction. Mutualism is obligatory. Obligatory means that it is necessary for the survival of both the species. Neither of the or none of the partners can survive separately. All right, here are some examples of mutualism. First is honeybee, the relationship between the honeybee and the flower. This is a positive relationship because what happens is honeybee gets its food by sucking the nectar out of the flower, and flower in turn is pollinated, or you can say this honeybee helps the flower in pollination, and then only it can reproduce. So this is a mutualistic relationship, or you can say positive relationship where both the species get benefit out of each other. So both the species are benefited. Second is the symbiotic nitrogen fixation, the relationship between the nitrogen fixing bacteria and the leguminous plants or legumes. So these are the root nodules. You already know the leguminous plants have nodules on their roots. So these nitrogen fixing bacteria or rhizome, we call them as rhizobium. These nitrogen fixing bacteria live in these nodules, and what they does is these nitrogen fixing bacteria, they convert the atmospheric nitrogen into nitrates, N2. This is atmospheric nitrogen. So they fix the nitrogen, and plant gets the nitrogen in the form of nitrates, and what happens is bacteria gets the shelter. So both the species get benefit out of this interaction, and none of them can live separately. This nitrogen fixing bacteria cannot live anywhere else. So that's why I told you this mutualism is obligatory or mandatory. Third example of mutualism is the relationship is the lichens. Lichen, as you see here, this is a lichen. Usually you found them on the tree barks or bare rocks, etc. This lichen is not a single organism. It's a combination of fungi and algae. All right, the fungi absorbs water and minerals and provide them to algae, and in turn what algae does is algae prepare their own food by the photosynthesis with the help of chlorophyll. So the prepared food is shared with fungi. So fungi gets its food, as it's heterotrophic, fungi cannot make their own food. So this relationship is also mutualistic relationship. Algae provides food for the fungi, and fungi absorbs water and minerals and provide them to algae. So this is all about mutualism. And second is commensalism, is another type of positive interaction. So commensalism is a type of symbiotic relationship in which one species is benefited or one species benefits while the other species remains unharmed. It's neither harmed nor helped. The species that gains benefit is called as commensal, and the other species that is unharmed is called as host species. Like this is an example of commensalism. Like you see here, cattle egret. This is the bird, is called as cattle egret. It eats the insects because when these cattle, when they are grazing, what they do, they stir up the insects like insects that are present there in the grass, that become visible to these birds. So these birds gain food by eating the insects, while the cattle are unaffected. There is no effect on the cattle. So this type of relationship is called as commensalism. So here cattle egret is called as commensal because this gets the benefit, and the cattle is called as host. Then we have proto-cooperation. Proto-cooperation is also a type of positive interaction. So this is an interaction between different species in which both organisms benefit each other, but neither of them is dependent on this relationship. It is more or less same like mutualistic relationship or mutualism, but in mutualism, I already told you, mutualism is mandatory or obligatory, but proto-cooperation is not obligatory. It's not necessary for their survival. These interacting species, they can live without this interaction, or they can live separately. Like this is the example of proto cooperation. For example, crocodile bird, you can see here, this is called as this is a crocodile bird. It enters the mouth of the crocodile, as you see here in this pic. So this bird enters into the mouth of the crocodile and feeds on the leech that are present in the mouth of the crocodile. So what happens is, bird gets the food and crocodile gets rid of blood sucking parasites. So this, in this type of relationship, both of the interacting species, suppose in this case crocodile and this crocodile bird, both gets the benefit, but this relationship is not mandatory for their survival. They can live separately. All right, so this is all about positive interactions. Thank you. Have a nice day.